What's up, everyone? I am your host, DJ, aka Sexy Bad Choices. I am joined by
On MF Ross.
what the MF stand for?
Luke Rizwalker.
Oh, I guess the M and F are silent, huh?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, okay. And
Hi
also
everyone, it's me, Avery.
consistent as always.
Yep.
And we have a special guest, Liam Brown. But we'll get to him very soon. Press X to Start Gamers Digest is a video podcast that condenses the most important gaming news from this past week into an hour-long meal just for you. Today, as I said, we have a special guest, Liam Brown, Corporate Partnership Manager of Knights Esports Group. You'll find out about that much later. Not much later, actually, very soon. And we're going to be talking about the journey from gaming fan to esports executive. Before we get into that, though, don't forget you can support us by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and hit the notification bell. If you are listening, we would greatly appreciate you leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or the podcast services you are tuned in on. If you enjoyed our conversation, like Liam did, that was fun. You can join our Discord by going to pressx2start.com/Discord. Without with that out the way, let us jump into the topic of the show. Liam himself, how are you doing?
Doing great today, guys. Really happy to be here.
Awesome. All right. Well, for the people who don't know, tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Yeah, so as you guys mentioned, I'm the corporate partnerships manager over at the Knights Esports Group. A little bit about me. My entrance into the space is a little bit unorthodox. I wasn't a former content creator. I wasn't a former professional player. I came into this space from a relationship building and technology standpoint. And I found the Knights as not only a company that was based locally to me. I went to the University of Pittsburgh and was looking for, post graduation, I was looking for an industry that captivated me as well as a company that was a really good start for me and a really good fit for me. And the Knights, with the way they position themselves, transcending just competitive presence and acting as a leader in the space as well as a tech developer in the space that bridges the gap between the amateur player at home going into their pro life, or they just want to be more active in the space. It was very logical for me to join onto the team, so I went after them, and we can get more into it, but I did a lot of internal networking with the current president and CEO of the Knights, James O'Connor, and found out a lot more about the team based that, oh, they're based in the same offices as Steelers. And
Mm.
I had to finesse my way into the Steelers offices and just say, hey, I filled a packet with my resume, cover letter, a white paper I had written, found out he was a family man. I had a bunch of University of Pittsburgh branded like face masks. I was like, look, let's talk. I'm very open. I love this space.
Awesome.
And we sat down and we had a really long discussion, and that was kind of my entrance into the Knights as a
Hmm.
whole. So that gives a little bit of background about how I started with the Knights. But I've been
And
a
how long have you
game
been with them?
I've been with them around 2 or 3 years now.
Okay.
I've been on the forefront of a lot of really interesting projects and been able to help out and meet a lot of really cool people in the traditional sports space, the rap and fashion space, as well as the
Hmm.
esports and gaming space, currently. So
Awesome. Cool. Yeah,
love to dive in.
definitely. So you were before I interrupted, you were talking about video games.
Yeah, so you talk about games. We playing games
Right?
here? Yeah, so I have I've started playing video games in fourth grade, and I would play Madden and Tekken with my dad. And then
Second.
yeah, exactly. I would play Nintendo DS at school with my friends in the beginning and the end of
Wait.
classes.
Let's roll that back. Were you one of those trash Eddie Gordo people just spinning around the place, smashing buttons?
No, I was not. I was not. I very carefully was choosing my plans like before games. I didn't know what they meant, but I
Right.
was just like I was like those lines, they look cool. I'm gonna do
Right.
that thing, right? So then I would play Nintendo DS with my friends beginning of class, in between
Mm.
classes at recess. And then that went into a lot more um, Super Smash Brothers, and then single player
Mm.
campaign games. My
Wait. What's your favorite Smash Brothers?
my first was really Super Smash Brothers Brawl, and
Okay.
I would spam Meta Knight just because he was such a broken character at that point in time,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so was Pit, so I would choose them. But then I found that I really liked Link's grappling moves
Mm.
because he utilized a chain, right? So
Yes,
it
yes.
was really easy to string combos together when I was there. And then my favorite map to play on was probably like the Super Mario Kart, where it's just a bunch of shy guys like racing around, but you're
Yeah.
constantly have to
Okay.
change levels, like to
Yeah.
be like on the upper level or the lower level. So that was a lot of fun. And
The
then,
the im- the important question though, the important
oh boy.
question. Do you play with or without items?
Oh, you have to spam, yeah, as many items as possible. Are you
Oh,
kidding
that's my
me?
guy.
You have
That's
to.
my guy
So
right
so
there.
there's two ways to play it. Before you start the match, you either set all of the items to consistently drop into the match on a higher setting, so you're just constantly
Mhm.
getting stuff, or it's just Super Smash Balls and Pokeballs and summons. So
Oh,
those two things.
okay,
So
okay.
there's two different ways to play, and those are the only
Yeah,
You
two ways to play, by the
you
way.
would fit in with the people here, although I like to play with no items, so it's just a matter of
Yeah.
skill
I'm
and
not good at throwing
positioning.
hands, but boy, I could pop you in the head with some items.
I'm gonna throw this banana, and then I'm gonna get,
Right?
and then
Man,
I'm gonna get the fire fruit, or the
Yeah,
you can
right?
you can show. I'm dating myself with One Piece reference there.
Hey,
So,
no, you're fine. We're all
but
hey,
I'm watching
actually,
One Piece
Sean,
right now.
yeah, Sean's watching One Piece.
yeah, it's that. I mean, hey, if we're on this whole culture discussion of just like what
Mhm.
got us into space, One Piece and Naruto and Bleach and
Mm.
Black Cat were my first animes that I really stuck with.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Black Cat, I don't
Yeah, I'm not
Black
familiar
Cat,
with that
no,
one.
Black Cat is an OG Adult Swim one, and that was like my,
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
so that was like my first
Okay.
that I was just like, man, this cartoon at 9 p.m. is cool. Their guns look way more realistic, and then I was
Right.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's really interesting. His hair is really tall, and
Yeah,
then
right?
so but yeah, so I was gamer, and then going into middle school and high school is where I found a lot more solo campaign type games where I
Mhm,
was
Mhm.
able to kind of immerse myself in the experience. So with Skyrim, Force Unleashed, uh, a little bit of Ghost Recon here and there,
mhm.
and then going into college and university, just balancing classes and stuff like that. It was a little bit more difficult, and
Yeah.
I found myself enjoying more Far Cry games, and
Mm.
then playing Mario Kart and Super Smash Brothers again,
Yeah.
but revisiting newer versions of the game since
Yeah.
it
Okay.
had been years since I had played. So, um,
Right.
currently I'm really finding myself either revisiting classics or scrolling through the Xbox store trying to find something that's like worth investing my time in, because it's just like I was recently playing through Vanquish. I don't know if you guys remember that,
Oh,
but
That
yeah.
sounds familiar.
that
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
was, first off, if you're looking at creative ways to fundraise, Vanquish was basically a way for that studio to raise money for the other Metal Gear games that they were creating. So
Mm.
uh, Vanquish was a futuristic sci-fi shooter where you take the role of this person who it's like the space Russians versus the Russians in the United States and DARPA.
Yeah.
It was
Is that the game that was bundled with Bayonetta or something? Some point?
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
It's the
both
same
platinum
studio.
games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
And I loved the acrobatic essence of the game just because you're able to jump, you're able to mix melee. The only problem is that melee completely destroys your stamina in the game. It overloads the character's like
Oh,
exosuit processor, and but it's just a fun game. I literally
a lot of
like
fun. Yeah.
I remember because I beat the game in like 2 days. And then I went right back
Mm.
in and kept playing the game because I remember because I was like I was working and I sent my last email and I had my end of day meeting on a Thursday. And then I went right over and I just started
Or
playing
playing.
right next to, and I got out of the chair, which
Yeah.
is not,
Right.
I got out of the chair because my I don't know if you can see, but this is the TV that I usually play video games on,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I was just
Yeah.
like I gotta at least move 2 feet over. So but yeah, it's a little dives in a little bit into kind of my experience with
Hmm.
gaming. And then as far as multiplayer games go, Star Wars: The Old Republic was a really really good soft intro for me going in
Yeah.
because I didn't have too much experience with Xbox Live, and just because I was always kind of careful of trying to like talk to strangers. Like, I know that sounds weird now,
No,
but
it's yeah.
I mean, that was the general rule back in the 90s. I don't know how we
Exactly.
got
Yeah.
yeah,
away
now
from that.
now it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're some random stranger on Facebook Marketplace giving away free stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
there.
I'll be
Where
right
do you want to
over.
meet? I have the money.
Yeah. And I was just like, I was like, that couch looks mighty fine, and it's how much? Like, and I'll just go to your
Right.
house. Like,
Right.
God.
Where is it? Upstairs in your room? Oh, sure. Take me
It's
there.
like, oh, I'll go there alone.
Right.
um,
Yeah, no, like we all grew up in pretty much the same generation of like, yeah, you don't talk to strangers, and then internet gaming happens, and you're just like, I'm just gonna leave my mic off
But
unless
like,
it's
yeah,
Call of Duty.
yeah,
anybody got a mic?
it's just like,
Um,
Right.
what games are you playing right now?
yeah. So right now I'm revisiting. I'm revisiting Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, and then
Mm.
I'm going back because I never got the chance to play Saints Row, so I'm going back into Saints Row.
What?
Yeah,
Oh man,
I didn't get the chance because one, it's like rated M, and two,
yeah.
when you want to show your parent, like when
Mm.
this game came
Oh,
out,
you
like
had responsible parents.
exactly, my parents were still making a lot of those like purchasing decisions, right? So just like
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just gangsters in suits, guys. It's fine. But then
Right.
like they
Yeah.
look at the trailer and it's just like you can increase the size of your different body parts in like really crazy
Right.
ways, like and
Yeah, I
then
think that was the one you
Get
could
a
run around
dildo
with a
bat.
giant. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
Right.
a
Right.
giant
Like,
sword,
wait.
right? A floppy
Right.
sword, yeah. But I'm getting into those, and then I am going to I'm going to be pre-ordering Shadows of Rubicon. And then
Good man. Good man.
I might pull the trigger and get and just check out uh the new Star Wars game. I might do it, but I don't know.
Let
I'm
me
very
ask you,
divisive about this, as you can tell,
how
as we were
soon do you
chatting.
tend to pre-order games?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, this is the thing.
Because this guy right here does it at 11:59 the
What?
night
Oh, with
before.
pre-ordering games?
Listen,
Wait.
the first game I ever pre-ordered, what is it? It's right here. It was the Far Cry 5. And
Ooh.
you got like the DLCs with like the aliens. Now, the cool part is like all the DLCs from the separate campaigns, like what was it, the alien campaign, you could use it in game too, which I didn't know.
Mm.
So, you're basically fighting against these I don't know, evangelical religious rebels with alien weapons, and you're just vaporizing them.
Yeah.
In that case, like the getting the DLC and pre-ordering the game was like it was very beneficial. But
Right.
if I so here's the thing, that was I think 3 months in advance for like when the game was about to
Oh.
drop, and then
Yeah.
the next one I pre-ordered for was the what was the game? It was I can't remember. But I usually will do it a few months in advance. Never when the
Let's see.
first trailer drops. Never.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. When the
yeah.
when the bull shot
Y-
launches.
Yeah.
I like to I like to wait until about 5 minutes before the game releases
I
before I
can't stand
pre-order
this guy.
it.
Oh,
It's not even like it's
Doom.
not
That
even
was it.
yeah, it's not even he's making a moral like stance on pre-ordering. Like I don't pre-order games. I don't want to reward the industry for all their bullshit. It's like nah, I'm just gonna do it 5 minutes beforehand.
I feel like
Yeah.
he does it just to get my goat.
Just
I
this. I'm
mean,
gonna spite everybody.
Yeah,
right?
at this point.
You don't get a discount if you do it like right
No,
before,
you
right?
don't. It's
Okay,
it's purely
cool.
for my own gratification. That's all
Right.
it is.
I love it. Yeah. The other game that I pre-ordered was Doom, and then I got
Mm.
Okay.
yeah.
I
So I
just
got
recently played
Doom
that.
the Doom
2016?
Doom Eternal.
Oh, Dear Eternal. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
I didn't like try to play any of the other DLCs like that came after. I just
Yeah.
Yeah.
was like I mean like I started really becoming educated on speedrunners like right after that.
Mhm.
And then when I was seeing what speedrunners were doing in the Doom Eternal game, it kind of like took it away from me because I was just like, man, I could do that, but no, I'm not gonna do that.
Nah, man, play games at
Right?
your own speed. Don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Watching the developers react to that was so funny because they're like,
Mhm.
speedrunners, why don't you just, not use these exploits in the game? It's just like, come on, man.
Right.
It's like, because I'm competing. Like that's fine.
Right,
It's a
exactly.
race.
I've already played your game and I enjoyed it, but now I'm breaking your
Yeah.
game.
Now you're gonna enjoy watching me do that. Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, that's a
Oh,
little history of like my video games, I guess.
okay.
And also I like
Uh,
I'm in Pittsburgh too, so there's arcades all over the place. A new VR virtual reality center just opened up like not too far from me
Mm.
too, so I'm probably gonna check
yeah.
that out. Probably gonna
We're
honestly
in
I
actually we're
might
in
go tomorrow.
Maryland.
Oh, okay,
Oh yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're also East Coast. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
actually there's a VR place that opened up in DC for us too.
Right.
I
Mm.
my wife had showed it to me and I was like, "Oh, that's might
Yeah,
have to check that
like
out. That's interesting."
virtual
Yeah.
reality is interesting because one, I think a lot of people automatically assume if you have a headset, you're in the metaverse. And
Mm.
Yeah.
what a lot of people don't realize is that the most accessible and advanced metaverse experience is what we're sitting in right now, Discord, right? So it's going to start in those small groups. It's going to be a group chat. It's like, hey, I don't have time to get on a call right now. Just message me. Okay, now I have some
Yeah.
time. Let's hop in a server. Okay, now I have a little bit more time. Like while we're in the server, you want to play some games, you want to watch a cool YouTube video. Like it slowly goes from there. It when during COVID, when I saw like Gymshark and Meta
Yeah.
going into these
Mhm.
virtual office settings with headsets, I'm like, okay, that's it's not it's unrealistic and it's unsustainable. It's also one of the reasons we've
Yeah.
seen unfortunately what we've seen is a decrease in actual headset sales over the past couple of years by singular percentages, but still the culture is like, well, we're not really gonna the culture now is like, okay, well, that's really cool. I don't know if I want to invest in that. Plus the immersion, unless you're playing, you can play different games that scale for height and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you can
Mhm.
play, that's the immersion's there, but unless you have an omnidirectional treadmill like right in your house where you're able to run, walk,
And
crouch,
those
jump
cost
in.
thousands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those things are available for private sale now. Like going in, like there's a company, um, not to give it free press or anything, but Virtuix is one of the first. Virtuix is one of the first companies to create a omnidirectional treadmill for private sale.
I
It's
think I saw that.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're also
Interesting.
one of the
Yeah, I think I
you
saw it
might have
too,
also
yeah.
seen them because they're one of the companies that allows people to try it out at these larger
Yeah.
conventions and stuff like that. That's it's the one viral video that it was a couple of friends and they're in VR and they're going against zombies. And he's like, "Whoa," and
He's
then he
running
just
away.
he
Yeah,
sprints away.
yeah, I
That
saw
was
that. Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure that was like a Virtuix setup. So
Okay.
with that and you can't sacrifice quality with those things, right? So the price
Exactly,
has
yeah,
got to
for
be
sure.
up there, right?
I
So
think
Yeah.
it's missing just this killer app.
mm, yeah,
They just haven't had that yet, really.
I
yeah,
mean, I
and
think
yeah,
when it comes to VR in particular, I think it's a promising technology, but in my mind, I feel like until you're able to get your feet involved, like with this
mm,
virtual thing, like that's a good direction to go.
yeah.
But like the motion sickness is always an issue for a lot of
Oh my
people. Like
God,
I don't really
yeah.
have that issue too much, but like there was one game that I was playing that was like some kind of it was for PSVR. It was like
Mhm.
a Starfighter game or whatever, and like
Oh,
that was
nice.
the only game where like I took the headset off and I was like, that was a mistake. Like I should not have played that
A lot of
game.
people get a kick out of seeing people experience that or
Yeah,
Mhm.
try
that's true.
to they'll be playing different gaming titles where you don't have to move in game, you can use the analog stick or it's like a point and you
Hmm.
move, so but they
Yeah.
Hmm.
still move in real time, so you're going to get
Yeah,
these people who they're not old but they're like running headfirst into a wall or a TV and you're like, are they
right.
okay?
Yeah,
Like
There's a disconnect in your brain.
exactly. Yeah. So
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
over at Pitt, we had a VR lab set up, and I was pretty much locked into VR um, for probably a summer, really,
Mm,
because I had started my entrance into the tech space was going at University of Pittsburgh. I was the campus intern for a company named CDWG, and what they do is they do different technology solutions for schools, companies, if you need anything related to an office setting. So standing
Okay.
desks, normal desks,
yeah.
chairs, desktop computers, headsets, everything. And I would go around campus, make sure that everything was like running smoothly, find out, build more relationships with head buyers at the university. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that the university was investing in was a studio where all students could go and experience up and coming advanced technologies, such as virtual reality, and 3D printers, interestingly enough.
Oh,
And also
interesting.
they also had a T-shirt press there, which I thought was like kind of cool too,
Yeah.
because at that time like I was attending like different concerts too, and I would just like find the artist logo and like take a blank tank top and just put the logo on it, just
Yeah.
show up.
Right.
I was just like, yeah, this is it. But
Right.
I spent pretty much a summer and most of the next school year in VR. And the motion sickness is something that I've dealt with since I was a kid, like anything from like long car rides to
Mm.
like plane rides, just or being on a train or a bus, like sitting backwards. I
Right.
just, and that's something that I really had to fight. Like no matter the title, really.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would like get off and I'm sweating buckets. I'm like,
Yeah. Right.
like I'm gonna go back in. It's probably why. It's
Right.
probably one.
Give me a
Probably.
towel. Give me a towel.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
like
going
that's
back
probably
in.
why I wouldn't survive in Tron because I'm just like everything's
Oh,
just like
yeah.
hurting
Oh
my eyes,
gosh.
or in Star Trek, I'd be like,
Ugh.
uh,
All right. I think we've done a lot of talking about games. Let
yeah.
us bridge the gap. Liam, how did you go from gaming fan, as you are,
Mm.
to esports executive?
So as I mentioned, I had a passion for gaming and also for bringing like larger tech solutions and relationship building while I was in university. And right around my senior year was when the company that I was working for, CDW, was debuting its Lenovo Legion line of gaming
Mm.
related products. So
Mm.
anything from gaming laptops to headsets and stuff like that. And they wanted to make a big push into collegiate level esports because first off, Lenovo is usually a really good starter laptop for people because it's at a lower price point, and a
Hmm.
lot of people will just buy it and then they'll just modify it to fit their own specifications, right?
Right.
And that's where I found out how big, I had to know that I had to understand the market in order to build those relationships with people relevant to the conversation at the university. So that's what led me into the conversations between athletics or campus recreation. Who's handling esports at my university? And then
Right.
I found out that one of our branch campuses had an esports team, so I was talking to them. I created my university's gaming Discord. I was linking together different gaming clubs, and this is when I really found a passion for this and bringing people together despite any kind of pandemic or any kind of like physical
Yeah.
in-person limitations, right? And I found out that this industry can bring people together more so than any other can because of how accessible it is, how it's so easy to view from a live stream or recorded content perspective. And then I
Hmm.
found that my city had an esports organization located very close by. I was still a student, so I had free bus pass to go anywhere. And
Yeah.
so I was for about 2 weeks. What I did was I was compiling together a bunch of different materials. I rewrote my resume and my cover letter I think 15 times, and I was looking at okay, mailing address. I don't know if they have a mailing address. I found out where they were posted. So I went to the Steelers offices and I addressed all of my materials to the James O'Connor, who is the president and CEO of the organization. This
Okay.
this guy, it was a character. He was a character to me at that time because he was the first person to bring an American team to the World Finals of a title called CS:GO, and
Hmm.
Mm.
he ran 30 competitive seasons. He brought Team Liquid to the World Championships multiple times for the first time in the team's history and also this country's history. Right?
Yeah.
He was. It's a veteran-owned company. He was in the Marine Corps, and he was someone I took a lot of inspiration from when bridging the gap between the professional space. He went back to get his MBA, and also going in and bringing esports and elevating it. Right? So I found that the Knights were a company I really wanted to work for. I made a packet, I addressed it specifically to him, and I thought, well, as a company, they have to check their mail. And I was able to
Right.
talk, I was like, their offices weren't open in the building, but I talked to some people from the Steelers, and they're like, yeah, I'll just put it in their mailbox, totally. And I said, okay,
Hmm.
You
okay,
could have
awesome.
slipped it in there like Solid Snake, man.
No, I said I didn't have a box with me, so I couldn't like hide from
Right,
from the
right.
cards. Yeah, but so then I got an email back from them, and then I was able to go through the round of interviews and come into the esports space uh, with relationship building experience and wanting to further bring more interested endemic and non-endemic brands into the space and integrate into the gaming experience overall. And because that's something that I had responded to, it
Right.
starts the conversation for many gamers alike when you find out that this brand is not only sponsoring but helping to staff and put on different tournaments and events in your space that you're interested in, right? And that's a passion that's been able to follow me up until this point. So,
Yeah.
I, you know, the Knights were very welcoming, and I've learned a lot, and I feel like I was also able to bring a lot to the team. So that was my entrance into kind of kind of the professional esports space, and also how I was able to really try to bridge the gap between the traditional education side because I had gone to school for business and bringing that
Hmm.
into esports and gaming, which is notoriously the biggest faces of this industry are going to be the content creators, the professional players, right? And you don't really see anybody, the people behind the scenes, are making those decisions, unless it's like a Phase Clan scenario where like you know everybody's like vocal about everything constantly,
And
when
sometimes
we
a bit too vocal. Sometimes
uh,
a bit too vocal.
yeah, I don't.
So like I will say out of our group, Avery is probably the biggest not probably. Avery is definitely the biggest esports fan
Yeah,
in
I,
our
I heard
group.
you talking about the VCTs, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't know if you know this. Small plug here, but the Knights were handling the entire North American Valorant Challengers
yeah,
League.
you guys are handling VCL for the North America Challengers League,
Yeah,
and it is one of the things that gives me the most heart palpitations every week.
awesome. I love to hear that. I love to hear that because it's so interesting to see how the not only the space has evolved, but also seeing it's just team-based, fast-paced gameplay, and it's what I like to call it is it's like if a squad of Navy SEALs had superpowers, is how I describe it to people,
Yeah.
right? When
Yeah.
I'm describing esports and gaming, and the top esport is Valorant, right? Because what Riot did, they took all their data from League of Legends and building an esport around that, and then they just laterally moved over to the first person shooter
They
side, and then
stole
they
CS:GO is what they did.
Exactly. Well, yeah, but I mean, their
Oh, it
model.
works.
Their model. I don't know if you guys look at Esports Insider at all, but they did an article recently about this, and they were talking about how they want all of their esports philosophy is making stuff sustainable, right? So
Mm.
Valorant has been able to be a sustainable success for them for so long, right? Despite people saying it's growing too fast, or it's not going to last or something like
It's
that,
only
right?
gonna
So
it only grew because of the pandemic, and now we're
yeah,
year. I think are we at year 4 of Valorant or year 3?
I think we're at year 4.
Yeah, I think yeah, we're definitely at
I
year
mean,
4.
man, like my weekly my week is every week it's a Valorant updates. So it's like I'm in like a different like time
Yeah,
span
yeah.
like from most
It's
people.
it's year 4 and it's only growing bigger. And despite certain people saying that franchising would kill the sport, it has, as far as I can tell, at least in North America, made it even more healthier and more easier to digest.
Yeah, and
Mm.
I think because I think they did their homework more so than when people look at franchising as a way to kill an esport or a gaming title in general, they usually look to Call of Duty and their lack of success in that area, right? So I mean, not to say that the Call of Duty League is not insanely massive. But I hear more about Call of Duty Warzone streamers doing most of the marketing for them. You know,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like Dr.
Yeah.
Disrespect. Like you gotta hand it to that guy. I mean, here's the thing. Like some people's perception of different gaming streamers is going to be from I don't know if you guys watch YouTube at all, but Meat Canyon, he recently did a really funny like video on
Mhm.
it's not family friendly. You don't want to like watch it
Okay.
with people around you.
We're
But
not a family-friendly
he was
podcast.
okay, good.
I
He
tried.
wanted to like
I tried so hard.
he just
I tried so hard.
roasted all of the top like Call of Duty streamers. Just like whenever there's
Oh,
like a
really?
new Warzone map, it's just like okay, cool, and then they're uploading the same content for like months on
Yeah.
end. And right, and it's just like oh god, okay. And they're like, yeah, is it really that tough playing video games for a living? Oh, poor baby. And it's like that's the joke there. I was like, oh fuck, god.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, so the question I want to ask is,
Mhm,
how do you define esports?
mhm,
I asked this because, as I said, Avery was the person to kind of bring esports to our podcast because
mhm,
we all just play games. We didn't really follow like the league and stuff. And I think what I really like about esports is how it draws a lot of people together to watch a thing.
mhm.
And in a weird way, I think like, oh, that's kind of like Evo, like
Mm.
fighting games like Tekken and stuff. Like that's kind of like an esport
No,
too, right?
those are esports.
So those are just
Avery,
officially
he's
esports.
asking me, dude. Come
I'm
on.
sorry.
He's stealing his thunder.
You're the
We'll pretend
resident
Avery just didn't answer the
Yeah, I mean,
question.
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If I define esports, because I get questions constantly, right? So
Mhm.
how I define it, if I'm talking to you at just anyone, I just say when it is when people play video games professionally and competitively against other people, and it is the community based around that. And that's and
Gotcha.
that it's that line. And from there, you're able to pivot off to a bunch of different discussions like, well, who watches this? What kind of people watch it? Well, first off, everybody, right?
Hmm.
Because it is the
Hmm.
most accessible form of entertainment possible, right? A majority of esports events are going to be live broadcasted. Now they're going to be either on YouTube Live or Twitch,
Right.
or what was that other one? What's the new Twitch alternative that
Kick.
Aided Ross went
Kick.
Uh,
to?
Kick.
Is it
That's
kick?
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'd like to see how that evolves too.
Uh,
But it's the most accessible form of entertainment. You're able to bring so many people together very easily via platforms such as Discord
Hmm.
or Twitch and these other things. Discord most likely because you're able to create a small private chat and server like with you and your friends, and you're all able to interact live in the space. Or you're able to just plug an HDMI cable into your laptop and just put it on a big monitor, which I see a bunch of people do. And
That's
also
true.
it enables brands and different motivated companies to act to actively engage with the most profitable and loyal consumer base in the form of the direct millennial, Gen Z, and Zoomer category, who are on average in a higher income bracket. They can spot
Hmm.
an ad campaign a mile away, so they want to be careful of
Hmm.
where they're going to be diverting their money, right? And
That's
once
true.
and once you get enough brands that are motivated enough to be involved in the space, okay, the caveat is if you're going to be in this space, you have to build this space. And that's
Right.
how it's going to grow more and more, because if more brands want to get involved because they see the benefit and they see these big headlines of esports just grew to its first billion. Okay, its first billion and a half. Um, you know, Newzoo has been publishing a lot of different research papers as to gamer psychology and all these different things. You're going to see the sport grow because of all the different brands that are a part of it. And then it goes from there into all the different people that are a part of it, right? So um, to answer your question, like esports is the professional level of gaming competition, and it is open to everybody. So
Right.
I think that's what makes it different than traditional sports, because you get into traditional sports and you're going to be questioned on your team affiliation and your knowledge of the overall record of different players, and
Yeah.
then people will bring up uh,
Mhm.
historical events in the team's history, or this kinds of things, and not to say that takes away from the experience. It does create a bit of a learning curve when you want to get involved, right? You want
It
to
also creates a barrier too.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
want to not only that, but like the barrier to entry to esports and gaming overall is very low, and that's what makes it so much fun because everybody can play. Like most
Right.
of the top
Mhm.
esports in the world are freemium. You know, you can get it with your friends and you can play for free, but you can and you can take part in those microtransactions if you want to like progress further if you want, right? So a lot is left up to the individual decision maker, and that's what I love about this space.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So before we get into the current state of esports, you all might think I'm going to jump into an ad. I'm actually going to jump into an ad for myself. I think the Knights group, I think you guys should look into Gundam Battle Operations 2
Oh God.
as
Okay. I will make a
Oh.
note of that later. And by later, I mean next week. No, just kidding.
right? I had to do it. I had to do it. I had to do
That is
it.
Mike. That is Mike.
He has full control.
Oh
I
my
So
do.
goodness. I'm trying to look
I
this
am the
up right now.
captain now. It's a free to play Gundam game where it's just is basically all of the like Universal Century Gundams is in this game, but it's like
Mm,
very much so a gotcha game. So every week they have a new mobile suit, and you have to spend coin that you get from playing the game. It's purely a joke, but you should also look it up because it's a great game. Hey there. If you're enjoying this episode and you'd like to support us, you can by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and the notification bell. That way you'll stay up to date to all of our future videos. If you are listening, you can support us by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or the podcast service you are using. After that, you can go to pressx2start.com. There you'll find links to our social media channels and our Discord. Thanks for the support, and now let's get back to the episode. And we are back. All right. Let us talk about the current state of esports.
mm.
From your point of view, where do you see? I'm talking to Liam. Avery, you can chime in too because you're a fan of this. From your point
okay.
of view, where do you see the successes of the esports industry, and what do you identify as the weakness in the industry?
Right. I think that as far as a weakness goes, I think that there's a lot to be said about the path to pro environment and the training that's involved and the habits that go into creating a professional player. There's not enough discussion around the better habits from an exercise, sleep, health discussion
Hmm.
surrounding esports athletes has there's not enough discussion around that, and I think that there is a weakness there, and also with the path to pro environment. I think where the space is going to be more athletes developing career lengthening habits, such as
Hmm.
dialing their like optimizing their health, making sure that like in negotiations they make sure that they're not left burnt out at the end of long matches, scrimmages, and things like that. Like um,
That's a good point.
I think that's where the space is going to be headed. And also, more esports teams are going to be facilitating the communities around the different titles that they compete in so that they can have a better pick of talent, and also they're just able to better put more eyes on their overall organization. Much like in traditional sports, you're going to see like the Steelers, for example, they host youth training camps and different summer camps and stuff like that. Now, obviously, they're not going to be okay. Now, this 6-year-old right here, he's going to go on to become a pro, right? It's nothing like that intense, but they're putting into that the the heads of all of these the youth that are involved is like this is a possibility for you,
Oh yeah.
and I think there's going to be more esports organizations that are going to do that. I think a third and final place where we're going to see esports evolve is just the overall staff and talent that are going to be coming in involved in the space. What's the
Yeah.
benefit of this industry since it is so young is that it can take on any kind of applicants or any kind of people with different skill sets. We need people to build the stages. We need people to market the events. We need people to finance the operations. We need people of every different major, of
Hmm.
every different in like colleges and universities, or even or and that sort of thing. Like every major has an application in esports. I mean, with the exception of like philosophy, perhaps. But and like like European history majors can go on to be into like Rise, Son of Rome, maybe, like if they want to develop like games along that nature. But
Right.
what's
Or
great about
shoutcasters.
yeah, exactly. But this game, like, if they wanna be a caster in a tournament and only speak in Old English, like that'd be really cool.
Right,
So
exactly. Yeah.
that would be amazing. But
They could land themselves as the next announcer in Street Fighter 6, you know?
yes, I'm not even gonna try to imitate what I think that would sound like. But I think we're gonna see a lot more people who aren't just graphic designers and content
Yeah.
creators and have a big social following coming into the space. So
Yeah.
from facilitating young talent, dialing in the healthy habits of their current athletes, and also bringing in more a diverse skill set of different applicants. I think that's where the space is set, and it's very exciting, very exciting.
Yeah. So just to rewind a little bit back
Mm,
to the healthy habits thing, I was looking through your profile stuff
mm,
and I saw on that you post on LinkedIn about the study that uh athletes can they can play they can practice 5 hours
mhm.
and then 1 hour of working out is supposed to
Yeah.
be like really
So
beneficial for them.
yes.
Yeah.
So that study came from athletes in Germany who were found not only that not only did they feel that it helped with their overall performance in the game, their performance in the game from a numbers and statistics perspective. This is a very virtual and digital industry, that their performance in game, as far as their aim, performance in different scrimmages and matches, it also increased. So when you are at the highest level of this, on the professional side in esports, you're going to see teams investing in dietitians, in
Hmm.
fitness coaches, finding out which form of cardio, whether it's like steady state or high intensity, anaerobic or aerobic exercises, what kinds of compound lifts are going to be best for this athlete involved, what's going to cause the most blood flow, what's going to keep those brain receptors firing. And that only seeks to not only enhance the level of competition, but also it also instills in those athletes the several things: the ability to extend their career, right? And then also in order to build healthy habits so that when they move out of the professional play side and they want to move laterally to the corporate side, which we've seen, or they want to move into team management, or they will be able to take the skill set that they've not only learned from being a competitive athlete, but also building those healthy habits to take to any occupation, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that is surrounding the professional level of esports is how the health and wellness discussion optimizes overall esports and gaming performance.
Yeah.
However, that discussion is not at the collegiate or at the grassroots level yet. And
Yeah.
that's something that needs to change, because what we've already seen is gamers and uh, fitness enthusiasts, like gym rats and gym bros. They hang out in the same circles. They're playing the same games. They're watching the same animes together. It's Baki and is a great example
Oh yeah.
for
Oh
Baki
yeah.
is a great example because everybody wants Yujiro Hanma's back. They all want to
Yep.
have
That devil back.
yeah,
The
they want
devil
to have
bat.
Baki. They want to have
Yeah.
like Baki's forearms and his overall mobility. But I've never seen such two different groups of people come together in so many different social circles, but there's no entity speaking to both of them and trying to bring them
Mhm.
together, right?
That's a very
I
good
even
point.
saw like FaZe Clan. They would post all the time them working out together in their mansion in the FaZe Clan
Mm.
house. And I would see that content all the time because they would upload on Snapchat, right? They wouldn't
Yeah.
actually
Mhm.
upload it to larger forms of content or larger social media networks. And I only knew that
Oh, that's
because,
interesting.
yeah, I only knew that because I'm just like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then also,
Yeah.
some people found out on the broy frat bro side, when they would watch different content creators like Full Send or Steve Will Do It, when those guys moved into the FaZe Clan house and they found out that, oh, they've got a gym in this place, like, oh, that's kind of cool,
Yeah, I didn't know.
then
Yeah.
exactly, right? No, nobody knows about
That's a that's
how important this is.
that is so funny that, like, yeah, it's almost like they're segmenting their audience with the activities that they're doing, and it's just
Hmm.
like, yeah, no, we work out, we have to work out, we're athletes, so like
Yeah.
that's the thing that we do, but they
What
don't share that with the broader public.
I
Yeah.
think that's gonna open up the larger discussion for the optimization of the brain. And on the first
Sure.
level, it's going to be like your nutrition. You are what you eat, and I can't stress that enough. And then proper sleep habits. What blue light defense is the best for what stage of the day, going
Mm.
into the later hours of the day, and you're approaching the closer the time where you're about to go to sleep. What blue light, anti-blue light strategies are the players using, right? But then on the flip side, with different chemical compounds and supplementation such as alpha GPC or lion's mane mushroom or these other chemical components that are able to optimize overall cognitive function, that you're seeing being utilized on the executive level, on the corporate side, with
Mm.
different lawyers and financiers and entrepreneurs trying to better hone in, and coders when they're trying to hone in, when they're going on those long coding binges, or they're going
Yeah.
on those long stretches of investment and unique creative out of scope project meetings. When they're approaching those, they engage in these kinds of supplementation to optimize their brain so that they're at the peak level. Why don't we see that in esports and gaming, when the brain is arguably one of the top pieces that you're utilizing in this sport,
Exactly. That's true.
right?
That's
Do
a
you feel
very,
like there'll
very
be
good
a
point.
line at some point? Like you speak of that, optimizing brain
Mhm.
activity. Do you feel like there'll be a point where there's something considered like doping for esports?
Yes, so I think there is, and there already is, right? So first off, drug usage and drug testing in professional gaming and esports, they do drug testing with different things, but
Mm,
but one of the reasons you don't hear about it is the simple reason that there's a lot of professional athletes in the space that engage in these different substances, and
mm.
Mm.
if there's enough, you're not that have to get kicked out because they're violating this,
You have
you're
no.
not going to have a talent base, right? Now, the obvious one,
Oh.
like with the obvious, is utilizing Adderall, right? So
Mhm.
Mm.
Adderall socially is so accepted on the base on the school level,
Yeah.
on anybody, and a lot of people will actively seek to fake a prescription and utilize this study drugs, right? And I think that those kinds of different pharmaceutical interventions that require some kind of prescription, they need to be dialed in because one, it's you it promotes, first off, I don't know if you guys have ever taken Adderall, but it
Mm.
will prolong how long you are awake. So you're already at risk
Mhm.
for not sleeping, right? And
Right.
then
Okay.
also it is a crutch. That is not your actual cognitive function. It is a crutch that once you stop taking it, you're going to experience brain fog, lack of sleep, all these other different side effects, right? So for the safety of the athletes, I think that certain things such as the intervention of, watching how much these athletes are like what prescriptions, like
Interesting.
Adderall is
Yeah.
huge. But so from the anti-doping discussion, I think that's definitely something that needs to be discussed on a more serious level, just
Mm.
purely for the health of the athletes. So then what that'll do, hopefully, is that'll push them to other legal alternatives, dialing in their overall health. And then when they
Yeah.
want some sort of supplemental intervention, then they can look to, as I mentioned, alpha GPC, lion's mane, the, different forms of caffeine, green coffee versus, just normal, like these kinds of things, right? So,
Something that's
I
healthier.
yeah, exactly. Healthier and also promotes overall health and wellness and function as opposed to short-term gains, right?
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, with all of that and your background in player recruitment and management, what is the process to finding talent? Like,
Mm.
you talk about having to watch for, people using these kind of supplements and so on and so forth. Yeah, and then on top of that, are there any efforts made on diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Yeah. So on the diversity, equity, inclusion side, the Knights overall, uh, we have several different campaigns running in that space. So on the first side, so with the women in esports, so it's obvious that when you bring in more talent into an industry, that industry is going to flourish. And
Exactly.
there is not really a competitive state for women in the esports space simply because socially it's not as acceptable for girls to game with other girls and they or game with other boys like when they're younger,
Yeah.
right?
Or
They're
even
going to
competitively for women.
exactly. So what you have is there's just like with the NFL. There's nothing saying that women can't try out, but there's no baseline competitive path to pro environment for them, right? So they're not going to
Right.
be
Yeah.
they're not going to be going to these summer camps. They're not going to be playing in middle school, high school, college. Then they're ready to go to the professional leagues, right? So
Exactly.
one of the things that we've done in alignment with one of our partners, PNC Bank, is what we've done is we facilitated the conversation for women to get into this space from a competitive standpoint. We run women's only tournaments in Rocket League and also in Valorant with our Sakura Cups, hosted on our Knights Arena, which is like right on Twitch. And in
Hmm.
there, we're going to get amateur and professional teams coming in and wanting to earn their stripes and also gain the experience of winning a tournament for prizing. All of our tournaments that we host are for prizing. And they're able to actively engage in the professional space and further their competitive name in the overall social sphere. And then on the flip side, as far as esports and gaming goes, from a corporate and staffing side, we have sponsored and created uh, different internships and professional tutoring in esports specifically targeted towards women. And then on another thing that we're doing locally, I don't know if you guys have seen, but we've opened up different esports gyms in the city in partnership with the mayor's office with the My Brother's Keeper campaign. I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but the My Brother's Keeper
Oh.
campaign is an Obama era effort to basically get kids off the streets, right? What are they
Hmm.
doing? What are they doing when they have those 2 hours outside of school when they're just hanging around town, right? They are at just any youth are at risk when they are left alone for such a long period of time in less
Idle
than safe,
hands.
yeah, in less than savory
They could
areas,
be
right?
playing
So
Gundam. I don't
it's
like. That's
they
the thing they
should
can do.
be.
You know.
They should
Exactly.
be. That's
Exactly.
exactly. So so that caused us to partner up with the mayor's office, and we created different
Okay.
esports gyms where any of these kids can go after school and just game, learn about esports and gaming, and we'll actively host
Mm.
different professional development stuff when we're there. We'll host tournaments for them. We've hosted all kinds of different Madden, Brawlhalla. We hosted a Brawlhalla tournaments like regularly,
Oh
right?
wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Brawlhalla.
So we were there, and then also we actively engage with local charter schools and different schools in the area to teach them about how esports is a category that needs young talent. And just because you may not find success in different avenues of employment, esports is constantly looking for new talent, and it's you guys game at home. A
Yep.
lot of these kids game at home. Doesn't matter what background they come from. And okay, well, if you like to game and you like to game with your friends, video editing from that standpoint or bringing people together and running events, right? These are all different skill sets that they're already developing that they
Hmm.
just need to be pointed in the right direction. And that's what we're doing
Exactly.
from a diversity, equity, inclusion standpoint is that we're actively on the forefront of bringing new talent and educating younger people about this space so that they can be directed to this space.
That's cool.
There's pictures on our Instagram of me when I'm like freeze frame and I'm like in the classroom where I'm teaching kids at like these different esports gyms, and I just look I'm like this I'm just like I'm just like God. It's just like it's just like what do I do? It
Right.
just looks I look comical, but all the kids are just like hmm.
Eating it
Just
up,
like
right?
this, yeah. Hey, I
Yeah.
mean, as long as they enjoy it and they get something out of it, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if I had something like that growing up, because like my gaming career
Mhm.
was just go to school and come home and like I would just have a couple friends over and we just play Tekken.
Yeah,
We play Tekken
but
until one of my parents or one of my friend's parents picked them up. And like
yeah,
that was what we did like for pretty much 5 days out of the week.
Yeah, but now like there's middle school and high school leagues like NASIF or the National Collegiate Esports Association. Um, the N- um, the NCAA doesn't want anything to do with esports, right? So they handed it off to a different entity, which is
Yeah.
good.
Mm.
Um, and so now, from an esports and gaming perspective, students are able to actively engage in a varsity level sport, and they're able to learn everything you would normally learn from a sport in something else that they enjoy, right?
Right.
So they're able to i- build the foundational values of being a kid, and now first off making friends, high level communication, and then team management. So then what they can do is they can take those skills and apply it everywhere else. But that just shows how much that this space is changing, and how much greater opportunities exist for people in this space from a younger age. And again, I'm happy to see that here, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, talking about change, let's
Mhm,
talk about the future of esports. So, with an increasing introverted audience, we're
mhm.
kind of gotten to this. How do you see esports and gaming evolving as a means of social interaction and entertainment?
So what the benefit is about esports and gaming is that you're able to make friends in different circles virtually, and you're able to create these lifelong friendships that exist in a virtual setting, but they're still real because you're interacting with these
Hmm.
people on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people are going to be following their friends and connecting with their friends on Discord or Instagram or Snapchat. And then what they're doing is they're building those close knit friendships in a different setting, right? So this introverted audience are still engaging with other people. We just may not actively see it because they're doing it on a different medium of communication. Right.
Mhm.
So
For sure.
I
Yeah.
think that with the advent of social media and constantly, if you look at the subreddit for gaming, or you look at Steam and you refresh it like every week, right, there's new games, and with new games flood new people to go in and bring other, like, oh, okay, I also like this Gundam game, or I
Hmm.
also like, hey, but I like this other game more. Okay, well then you and I can go over to this other game, test it out, and we can make new friends
Yeah.
on that platform, right?
For
So
sure. Yeah.
this is an introverted audience on when you look at it with a macro lens, but once you get into it, you can see that these people are engaging in the same friendship type behaviors that you would see on the basketball court or on the field or in the classroom, right? So
Right.
those
Yeah.
spaces of like, oh, mom, 5 more minutes, when we're all outside playing tag in the neighborhood, right? Those spaces have just evolved and opened up, right? And gaming and Discord and social media, that's just another space where people can make friends.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another thing too, like with the whole idea of this audience mainly being introverted,
Hmm.
I look at I look at my experience and I think about it because it's just like you know I do have introverted tendencies, but
Right.
growing up, it was more so like my family, they're big into football. Like I never
Hmm.
really got into football. Like now I can watch it and enjoy it, but like growing up was like, no, I'd rather play games. I'd rather play games.
Yeah.
So I would always just be in my room playing games while they're out in the living room,
Yeah.
all
Hmm.
talking about their football teams and stuff. So it was more so like I just couldn't connect with them because they liked the thing that I didn't like and they didn't really understand the thing that I liked.
Yeah.
So I think with the onset of Discord and having these communities come together online, that allows a lot of people, a lot of kids to just really talk and chat and just have that communication that they you know not getting because they just don't want to do the things that their parents are doing or like their
Yeah.
siblings are doing.
You know,
So
if anybody ever has something to say about like gamers overall being very introverted, I would encourage them to go attend a Comic Con. It's,
oh
depending on the
Mhm.
level, it's $20 to get in, and you go and you see these people who maybe they do sit in the back of the classroom, but here when they're in a different setting, they are talkative, they're actively engaging with other people, they're communicating their interest at a higher level of vocabulary because they are
yeah.
so interested in it. Go to an esports convention. We were just recently at the over at DreamHack, and Too Easy,
Hmm.
who's one of our who's our Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter player. You know, on the when
Send
I
him
met
over.
him.
We'll take him on.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
when I met him, like on the surface, like he could have been perceived as an introverted person, but he's getting pictures with fans. He's talking with
Hmm.
other high level content creators about what strategies work for them. You know, you go to the RLCS and over in Texas, like last year, we were there and you saw people of all different ages coming together in a space. You saw, younger kids as young as like 13 or 14, and then you see older individuals who are just like, man, this game is awesome. I can play with, and watch it with my kids, and
Oh yeah.
so bring your kids, so just because they may appear as introverted in traditional spaces, you bring them to their home stadium, and you you wind them up and just let them go.
they're the light of the
It's,
room.
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So to wrap this up, what mark do you personally want to leave on the esports industry?
I want to act as the connector between anybody who wants to be a part of developing this fledgling industry, and I want to be able to pinpoint exactly what their goals are and be able to showcase to them, hey, this is how it's going to work, and you're going to help these many people along the way. Let's get started. So I want to be the person who brought in different brands in this space, integrated them into every level of the gaming experience, and was able to benefit not only them but also the fans in during that campaign. And I think that, and then on the flip side, I'd also love to start different conversations to help everybody in this space building healthy habits, taking care of themselves on the professional side, and as well as on the grassroots side. And I'd love to change the conversation so that more gamers at home w- want to achieve the same status in game as in their lives, right? You're constantly
Mm.
being hit with dopamine when you're playing video games. You're getting different notifications in game as to a new high score you just set, or you just defeated X amount of enemies, right? And I would love to see that same level of perseverance in life. And
Awesome.
I want people to take the lessons they learn from gaming and apply them to their life, right? You grinded for how long to get those different achievements and achieve 100% in Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed? I would like to see you achieve that same level of success and bring that success to people you care about as well, right? So,
You beat Millennia in Elden Ring.
uh,
Get your homework done, you know?
Jesus. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. That's awesome. I really do appreciate that. I think that's something that, you know, as gamers, you do kind of silo um I'm going to persevere through this. Like I'm going to beat this game even though it's hard, even though I'm playing
Yeah.
it on hard. But then when you enter your real life, you're like, I don't really want to go work out because
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever.
You're constantly being a part of the stereotypical story of a hero in
Hmm.
most of the games that you actively play, or the media that you consume, like in anime or like that kind of thing. And we're constantly being told the values of hard work, friendship, right? I mean, in Naruto, he uses what the fans call talk no jutsu, and he's just like,
Yeah.
listen, this is the power. Like, don't you want to be my
Right.
friend? Don't you want to be my friend? And then you look at One Piece, and it's just like, yeah, I just kicked your ass, and now you're on my side forever,
You're right.
right? So take those principles and apply them in your life, and go out and achieve those things that you want to achieve, because there aren't really any limits. If you want to just pick the argument like, oh, okay, well, that happens in fiction, it's just like, okay, well, then I guess it will just stay in fiction. Like, why wouldn't you try?
Yeah,
So,
right. Yeah.
um, I'd love to bring that mentality into to many people in this space. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, is there anything that we didn't discuss that you would like to shine light on or promote?
You know, I Mm, I'd love to see more people if they're interested in esports. I'd love to see them perhaps check out the Challenger series. Right? It's the most readily accessible esport and gaming event going on right now. And if you want to learn anything about it, just check it out for a little bit.
What is the
And
Challenger series? Can
the
you
challenge. Okay,
give a
so
little?
Avery, do you want to take this one, or you want me to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so
Oh
when
wow, okay, you didn't even say.
yeah,
Harry was waiting. He was
yeah.
waiting.
Right.
Okay,
So,
so
oh,
when Valorant franchised, it split the entire North American scene into Tier 1 and Tier 2. Tier 1 is now playing in the VCT main series, which is a weekly league that is going to end in international tournaments. But to make how would I say this, a vital Tier 2, they created the Ascension system, where a team that wasn't accepted into the sort of franchise system could play in a prolonged tournament series to get a spot in Tier 1.
mhm,
So Challengers is essentially, for lack of a better term, all the teams who were left behind, the
mhm,
players who didn't get their shot. This is their opportunity. It's a 12 team league that is on their currently they're in their second split right now, preparing for the big Ascension tournament. I want to say it's towards the end of the year. I can't remember what time that tournament is. I know Knights is running it, and we get uh yeah, Knights is running it, and it's pretty much the best teams who didn't make the riot cut, because it's like the difference between tier 1 and tier 2 is nothing. It's literally what organizations were financially more attractive to Riot Games to get a slot. So it's
Mm.
these games are just for the most part as competitive as what you're seeing in tier 1. It's just
Mm,
they didn't get their shots. Yeah.
right.
yeah, and on the tier two level, one thing that's funny is that you've seen different influencers pick up Valorant teams to participate. So you've got Disguised Toast, XQC, different Twitch streamers and content creators developing entire teams to take a stab at esports, right? Instead of just
Mm,
professional organizations as a whole. So, yeah, Avery couldn't have said it better myself. Valorant is a very good way for people to just, start viewing. And then also if you're currently playing a game, if you're whether it's single player or multiplayer, if it's on the single player side, chances are there's some kind of speed running competition for you to check out and to check out and see. And then if it's on a multiplayer level, chances are there's some kind of esports around it. And I think that the only other thing that I would say is that get involved in the space at any level that you can, right? If you want to host a gaming night with your friends and you want to put a little bit of money into it, you could make a small prize pool of like a gift card at the end or something like that. If you want to get leveled on the community side, Eventbrite's a really good resource and you could look for cheap venues to host stuff at. And I see a lot of people utilizing grassroots level marketing at very, very low budget on the Eventbrite and the Google Ads and Analytics side, as well as on doing a social media and email push and getting a bunch of community level events organized just with them and their friends. But then you've got a bunch of other people, and also utilizing Reddit, the different Reddit for their geography, right? So
mhm.
I would say get involved in the space and get involved in gaming overall. Whether or not you think you have the skills involved, just get started. And it's your passion, so take that passion to other people. If you just like, if I just liked slice of life anime, I'm still gonna go out and find other people that like slice of life anime. I don't,
Right.
except for Mash, except for Mashal, which is kind of slice of life if you kind of think about it, because it's like a parody of Harry Potter and One Punch Man, basically. Um, but
Mm,
yeah, no. If anybody's looking for anime recommendations, Mashal of like barbells and magic or something like that is what it's called. It is an insanely awesome anime that I'm
really?
tired. It's on like the fifth episode, and I need to watch it because
Oh,
it,
It's
okay.
it, it
fairly new.
yeah it got uploaded last night, so I'm up to episode 4. But to give you a synopsis, it in a world of magic, one kid was born without magic, so he just trained like One Punch Man, like Saitama, to
Oh.
achieve a level where he could perceive magic to other people. So like he was on a Quidditch. Okay, it's again it's a parody of Harry Potter. So they don't have Quidditch, they have Duello. It's the same thing. They have one ring that you have to score into instead of one. They don't have a snitch. But the
Mm.
robes are the same, and Hogwarts and the magic school design is still
You
the
got to
same.
put that in the chat so we can look at that.
Yeah. Hang on.
I think I've seen like an ad for this, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that definitely feels like a One Piece meets like My Hero kind of thing.
Yeah, one thing
Not
that's
One Piece, not One Piece. One Punch Man. Jesus.
yeah, what I like about Magic and Muscles, that's it. Magic and Muscles. One thing
Okay.
that's interesting about the overall marketing strategy as it has evolved for different brands, and is that we saw different singers pay pay meme pages to use their songs in memes, in viral memes.
Hmm.
Now what we're seeing is different anime studios are utilizing these anime fan edit and fan accounts to push their anime, right? And then Mashal's no different. What they did was they were just like, check this out, LOL, it's a parody of One Punch Man and this, right? But it got people thinking, it got me thinking. I'm just like, oh, that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but it fucking worked. Damn
Right.
it.
Yeah.
It worked on me. Yeah.
Hey man,
Ain't
that's
nothing wrong with
marketing. It doesn't work until it works.
Exactly.
All right.
So yeah, I was able to give anime recommendations and see where
Hey man.
I envision the space for everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, this was a great conversation. Like I feel as a person who has learned all of his esports stuff from Avery and him watching Valor and stuff, I feel like I've learned even more. So this has been great. Like
Avery's just
greatly
silently
appreciate it.
angry
Yeah.
over there. Just like
Look, it's one of those things where I recognize that when I get in my from my either when I get into my esports Duffy,
Yeah.
I'm like I'm speaking to a brick wall. I'm like
oh,
I
no.
like like
Oh,
I'm
no.
like
Hey, a brick wall with ears. I hear it. Okay, I can't respond, but I hear.
He's like, oh
so it's like
man, that's crazy.
right now I'm just
Right?
being introspective. Like what was I doing wrong?
Well, you didn't have the jersey. I have the jersey to prove that
That's
like
fair.
I'm in
That's
there.
fair.
There you go. See, yeah, I mean, that might change everything. You never
Yeah,
know.
you know.
All right. Well, that's it. This has been another episode of Press X to Start Gamers Digest. We hope you enjoyed this special episode as much as we enjoyed having it. Don't forget, you could actually, you know what? I almost forgot. Liam, give us your how can people reach you?
So I would go towards any of the Knights socials. We have the Knights domain name on pretty much all of our social media accounts, so it's just KNIGHTS. On Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm in a couple of their videos too. So if you go on Instagram, I do help us make content every now and then.
We're gonna jump up like Leonardo DiCaprio, like.
All right.
He was like, I do it. But I would definitely encourage you to go check on the Night socials and check out the Challengers League if you're interested in just checking out a cool esport or just you're looking for something to watch, right? That's what I recommend.
Awesome. So once this gets up, I'll have all that stuff linked in the description of the video.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, what I was saying was don't forget to rate and review us on your favorite podcasting app because every little bit helps. I said at the beginning of this episode, I'll say it again. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. We greatly appreciate all of that. That's it. This was a good cast. This was a good episode. Awesome information. I think a lot of people who didn't know about esports or just knew it vaguely from what Avery talks about in the normal cast. I think everyone can learn a lot from this. So thank you again.
Less molding than what I normally talk about.
But it's through the molding where we really get the information.
That's true.
All right. Take care.